Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Screen to Screen. I'm Andrew, and this is Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris.
Today we're looking at Tetris. We got a request from Clorox Corner. Clorox Corner asks us if we would do Tetris. Well, yes. The answer is yes, we will.
Because we're doing it right now.
We're going to try. I gotta say, this is going to be tough.
Yeah.
It's going to be very tough to turn this into a movie,
Well,
as we usually do on this show.
It's the hardest one, but it's also the most interesting because it's already been optioned for a trilogy of movies.
When it should obviously be a quadrilogy.
Right?
Or one movie. Or no movies.
I'm probably more pro, it shouldn't be a movie.
The thing is, I'm so curious to know what they're going to do. I want to see this movie.
Desperately want to understand what was going through their heads when they were like, yes, give me the rights to Tetris.
If someone can make just Tetris into a movie, that's still at least interesting.
Yes.
Even if it's bad, it's an interesting, what are they going to do?
I don't know what they're going to do. I can't possibly understand.
Let's try and figure that out today.
Yeah, let's do it now. Intro plays here.
Okay, yeah. I had an idea, the vaguest idea for Tetris movie years ago, maybe over 10 years ago. I had this idea, and it's not much of an idea, but it's at least a starting point.
All right, that's good.
Is that I really love dystopian movies, and I feel like, Tetris, it's a Russian game, it's a Soviet game. I think it'd be very fun to set this in sort of like a Blade Runner-esque world, except instead of that Asian influence, it's Soviet Russia, that kind of thing. We get all sorts of fun aesthetic with that. It doesn't even necessarily have to be historically accurate. They won the Cold War and the whole world changed.
Alternate history.
It doesn't even matter how it got this way. It's just a fun aesthetic. And I think it would be a cool place to put this movie.
All right.
I think with this, there's nothing to go on.
Not at all.
But is there a theme we can pull out of this? We're building, we are creating order here. We are, there's a lot of things that, all combinations of the same thing. What is Tetris? It's about building. Tetris is about building and I guess demolishing at the same time. You create to destroy.
So deep.
Well, I'm trying.
We made to suffer.
I'm trying to pull something out of here. I feel like this is a dystopian sort of Fahrenheit 451 maybe sort of thing, or The Giver. That's what Tetris feels like to me.
Tree, yes.
You could go in some sort of Doctor Strange, someone harnesses the power of an ancient thing where creating order in the world, through building. Oh man, that's tough.
Yeah, no, this is not easy at all. This can't be done. This is stupid.
there has to be a way to do this. We have to try.
We are trying. It's hard.
It's hard.
I don't like hard things.
All right. Here's what I'm gonna do.
I exclusively play hard.
Here's what I'm gonna do. Pretend that you don't know this is a Tetris movie. And I'm going to pitch you. I'm gonna sort of pitch you a guess the plot sort of thing.
All right.
Okay. So, all right. So this is some random movie I'm creating. I got some ideas for it. Okay. The movie, I got some elements to this movie. I don't really have the story worked out. Maybe you can help me out.
All right.
So in this movie, there is a society where people are trying to use their resources as best they can. They have a surplus of resources, and when they use too much of them, when they get overwhelmed with them, it's bad news for everyone. And it takes place in this sort of dystopian Soviet sort of futuristic world, and there's a lot of construction and building involved in this story, and it's a little bit a little sci-fi, and there are the number 4 comes up a lot, and it's important. And it's a significant part of this story. I haven't worked out all the reasons why, but
just trust me.
Just trust me. It's crucial. And people are they're trying to create this array. They're trying to create an order from this random influx of stuff that's happening to them. Did a movie happen yet? Anything?
God, no. Jeez.
Damn it! All right, fine. You pitch it to me, and I'll try to think of something.
Oh my God. All right. So,
I'll clear my mind. I don't even know what Tetris is.
So,
Okay.
falling from the sky are a bunch of blocks composed of 4 bits. And if you manage to fill up a little space, they all go away. And that saves everyone's lives for some reason.
God damn it! This is a sci-fi fantasy movie.
Sci-fi fantasy.
Okay, it's like Final Fantasy, where it's like, sci-fi and fantasy mixed together.
That's true for some of the entries, yeah.
Yeah, for some. You got like robots and stuff sometimes,
Yep,
and you have like magic.
Yeah.
So it's like Final Fantasy in Soviet Russia. How about that?
I don't know if that helped me.
It didn't help, but it's cool, isn't it?
It is cool. I do like it.
And I think that could be like, oh, stuff's falling from the sky. That's normal in this universe.
Normal in this universe.
In this universe, it's always been like this. There's always been like a strict order to things. What? All right. Order versus chaos. Order versus chaos.
Okay.
That is the theme. Order versus chaos. Because chaos happens. It just happens, and you got to roll with it. You got to roll with chaos. You can't predict everything. That's another thing. You can't predict everything that's going to happen to you in life. You got to roll with it. You got to embrace the chaos. You have to create your own order out of the chaos that life hands you.
All right.
What kind of person would need to learn that lesson? What kind of person would need to know you got to roll with the chaos? Someone who's like very uptight, someone who is always has their whole day planned out, has their whole life planned out.
All right.
And in this world, in this like Soviet dystopia Final Fantasy setting, what's the kind of person who is like order? Don't surprise me.
Who orders the same thing at every restaurant?
Right.
How about we go pure fantasy?
Pure fantasy, sure.
Like it's
like our okay.
Lord of the Rings almost.
All right, let's start with Lord of the Rings,
interesting.
and we'll we'll refine it.
We don't want to actually do Lord of the Rings because that's pretty boring. It's been done a lot.
I mean, like Russian mythology.
That's what I'm saying. Let's take this aesthetic you're going for.
Yeah, with the
work it into like a medieval fantasy
St. Basil's
setting.
Cathedral, like that.
Yeah.
Like the castle could look like that.
Exactly.
There we go.
So,
okay.
and now we're in this setting. The Tetronimos can be magical artifacts. Like
Okay.
we have a lot more room now.
Okay, magical artifacts. Okay,
So
okay.
maybe-
Now we're cooking.
We open up.
Okay.
I'm gonna. First scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Is sitting around a toasty hearth.
Sure.
Is an old wizened man speaking to the children.
Yeah.
Talking about the history of this world. And,
Yeah.
Long ago, from the heavens fell 7 magic artifacts that slammed into the world.
Yeah.
They brought magic. They brought the dangerous things with them. Like it changed the world. So let's say like the gods or whatever you want to say sent down these 7 artifacts. And that's where the 7 kingdoms were built. And each of the kingdoms is wildly different because of the 7 artifacts they built them around. So we have some like wild set pieces we can start building.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
this has brought a lot of war and strife because all of the kingdoms are different. And maybe our hero is the one that has to go out there and unify the kingdoms and stop the wars by collecting the 7 Tetronimos and showing that it's not 7 different objects. They all fit together.
They all fit together. The Tetrominoes come from the sky.
Yeah.
In ancient times. Like, it's all in ancient times, but this is even ancienter times. This is the first era. And they,
it's Earth 1.
And they come with a prophecy, basically saying there will be a time when we will, the artifacts will return, the Tetronimos will return. And it's
when someone will form the fabled Tetris.
Well, but this is not a good thing when they return because they come in too fast or whatever, and they have to sort of they have to organize them. They have to maybe they're like the Tetramino benders. There are people who are essentially Tetris players. They're very good at quick decisions, and they're not. It's like they're not even thinking about it. They just kind of like wield these pieces somehow. Like, what's the thing? Like, making them disappear is good. How do we work that into a story? Making these things disappear is a good thing. There's some sort of ancient vault they need to open or whatever.
Yeah.
And the way to open it is they have to complete the row, like it's a key basically.
Okay.
Like the protagonist puts in like the T block into a slot, and it like completes the lock, and then the lock like disappears, and maybe the T block falls back out so he can reuse it. But like it's like it completes things. It's all about completing. So one of the songs in this game, in the NES version that we're playing, is the Sugar Plum Fairy from the Nutcracker.
Ooh, all right.
And that's a Russian
yes, it is.
ballet.
And that could be one of the kingdoms.
But I'm saying like the Nutcracker is all about going to all these different kingdoms.
Oh, that's true too.
Like we could pull inspiration from the Nutcracker. I'm not saying like we turn Tetris into Nutcracker, but like
I was gonna say we make a Nutcracker version of the Tetris. But...
I mean, we could. You want to start with that, and then walk our way back.
My trouble is gonna be I'm not familiar enough to help out that much with Nutcracker. Like,
I mean,
I don't remember anything about Nutcracker besides the
plot. The plot is very loose because it's a ballet without words. But it's kind of all about visiting all these realms.
Yeah. Which is definitely where I'm leaning for this, because it's...
Yeah.
Like, I've been struggling with making this interesting, because I don't want like a boring movie.
Yeah.
And that's kind of nice, because a lot of fun set pieces is a quick way to make an interesting movie, even if like the plot's not quite there yet.
If we can have like personalities, the cultures and personalities inspired by the pieces, like just for example, the line piece is the best piece to have, and the S block is the worst piece to have.
So maybe running with the 7 kingdoms, each based after a block. The line piece kingdom is the peaceful kingdom that thinks that everyone should have, like, you know,
or maybe it's like the lawful good, where, you know, it's very about order, and like they mean well, but they also sometimes don't accept chaos enough, like bringing back that sort of order and chaos theme, which I still think is a valid theme.
Yeah.
And then I think the S block or Z block, I mean, they're very similar.
Yeah.
They might be more curmudgeonly. Like they're not bad. There's no bad people. Like there's no bad culture. It's just this is a culture that's maybe more, you know, maybe more a little isolationist. Doesn't fit well with others. You know, they're on their own choice. They kind of stick to their own, and maybe they need to learn a little about, you know, expanding a little bit. I kind of see the line piece as a little bit of like the Han Solo character, where it's not there, but at the last minute it comes in to save the day.
Okay.
What I'm thinking is the big bad is almost like it's like the ticking clock of, I don't know how to sort of set this in the world, but the pieces are falling, and if they reach the top, everyone loses. Like some sort of like hourglass. Maybe it is like an hourglass, a magical hourglass whose sands are these pieces, you know? And like I don't know.
I mean, we can go. It's fantasy, which means we have a lot of room to work.
Yeah.
So instead of like it being a magical object or anything like that, it could be just a force in the world. It could be darkness. It could be entropy itself.
Entropy,
like,
yeah, okay.
We could call a force in the world entropy, and that is what's like the threat we're facing. And
I guess that is the enemy of Tetris.
Yes,
it's entropy.
It's definitely entropy.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Entropy is the
like Little Nemo's Adventures in Summerland. Like the enemy is darkness. It's just darkness.
Now, is entropy personified?
I think that's something we could choose right now. I always love personifying concepts as villains. I think it's fun.
That's at the very least the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
So I think based on the fact that we've got pretty much nothing, I think entropy personified would be a good villain.
Hold on to whatever we can get, right?
Yeah.
Grasp those straws.
So, all right. Let's say entropy is a villain that it maybe sort of was gone for generations, but is now back, and they have to unite the kingdoms to fight entropy.
Yeah, let's go with like way back when these magical items fell to the earth. At that point, they were under the heel of entropy. Like, no one had any control over their lives. There was just this dark force that would arbitrarily decide things. These fell from the sky. The kingdoms formed. They banded together. They used their Tetronymos to banish, to make it vanish. They got rid of entropy. And now, thousands of years later, everyone has, like, broken off, splintered off. They're their own kingdoms. There's isolationist tendencies, and in this absence of order, entropy is thriving again. It's pushing into the world. And, of course, we throw prophecy in there. We have our main character who... Let's make it a coming-of-age story in a bit.
Sure, why not?
The kingdoms, they're separated, and our kid has, like, you know, maybe a grandfather he looks up to, who's like, you know, we're walking right into this situation here, Morty.
Can we call him Alexei? Because I believe that's the name of the guy who invented Tetris.
Oh, sure.
I think that'd be fun.
I mean, everyone should have pretty Russian names in this.
Yeah. The one thing I'm trying to work into this, again, is that Tetris has no end.
I mean, I think that's kind of the sad but also happy ending is like, we did it! But entropy will return if we're not vigilant. So,
okay,
the idea is,
we
like,
have to...
We know it's going to come back.
Yeah, we have to stay... We have to work together.
Yeah, it's a constant struggle. There is no situation where we're able to rest.
But the happy part is together we can hold it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, the kid is part of one of these kingdoms. I don't know which one. Maybe it's the T kingdom, T for Tetris.
Yeah, sure.
And maybe, like, someone in his kingdom has been, like, sort of is the Tetramino bender, and he's the one who's, like, the ancient. He's been doing this for years, and he's been holding it off, but he's getting old and he can't hold it off by himself anymore, and they need... I don't know if this is going anywhere, but, like, they need to unite the kingdoms again. I don't know.
I mean, he could be the one that, like, no one listens to anymore because we haven't needed a Tetronimo bender for a long time, but the kid really looks up to him. Maybe, again, it could be the grandfather. It could just be another Doc and Marty situation where it's someone that the kid likes and people are like, why do you hang out with him?
Yeah.
He's useless.
Well, I don't want to do that again, just, like, you know.
Just again, it's a figure for our character to learn from. It's an exposition box, is this person. But, like, this figure believes in the old tales, and no one does, and that could be, like, the setting off point for this could be him dying to the forces of entropy and sending our kid off on our quest.
So, the moral of Tetris is that if you don't work together, if you don't keep vigilant, things just kind of fall apart.
I think the theme of Tetris should be... You always have to try. Like, you shouldn't just be like, it's not my problem.
Yeah. If every piece said it's not my problem,
you would never have a Tetris.
Yeah, you need to work with the pieces you have. Every piece needs to try.
Yeah.
And you know, like maybe the line piece is like the richest kingdom.
That makes
And
sense.
they are, and ironically are the most able to help, but the least likely to help. But they do in the end. And I think that the T kingdom, if we're going with that, Alexei's kingdom, should have the their castle should be the St. Basil Cathedral, or at least very reminiscent of it. Because I want to bring that imagery in. So I guess Alexei's a kid. Like, usually that's how, you're saying a coming of age story. I mean, I like those.
I'm a big fan as well.
So
I think you tell very good stories in that setting. And
because when kids learn something, everyone learns something. It's like,
and children are also adaptable, which is
a
theme you're able to play with a lot in these sort of situations.
And all these old people stuck in their ways, stuck in their
shapes.
Yeah. They're What does entropy do when it wins? That's, I think, like, we need to kind of clearly state what the threat is.
I think entropy wins and the world is just, like, chaotic. Like, no one's able to build a home because the ground it's on might turn to mud from stone. Like, he is a pure force of chaos, and we maybe play that up.
Fire and
brimstone? No.
Well, I'm just trying to think of what's the most chaotic thing.
I see.
That's what I'm trying. I'm not trying to go with, like, hell imagery. I'm just I'm trying to think of, like, what happens Well, in Tetris, like you get to the top and then like the curtain falls down, the iron curtain falls down.
Yeah, good. I mean, if we're going with entropy as a force in the universe, I think it should just be things break down, they fall apart. This is a elemental force almost that's personified. It's an ancient power that's gained a personality just from pure time on this earth.
Is entropy made out of Tetris pieces? This is just what I'm thinking. I'm just like for fun. Like, remember that? I think it was in the Matrix 3, whatever it was called.
Well, off the bat, we shouldn't be pulling in.
No, I know. But there was that big stupid baby face made out of like robot parts at the end.
Yes, yeah.
I'm thinking that sort of like particle generator, like it looks not like a big stupid baby face, but whatever it looks like, maybe like what was it Hexus from Fern Gully?
I was actually going to say I'm picturing in my head Tim Curry's Hexus from Fern Gully.
But like instead of slime, it's like a bunch of very small tetrominoes.
Yeah, like you could, if you pause and slow it down, you can like, oh, they're all falling apart and like coming back together and falling
like
apart.
They're like sliding out and like like moving around to make a facial expression.
He is formed entirely of losing Tetris games.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that's kind of fun.
Like the pieces are leaving little holes everywhere. Like that's where his features come in, or like the holes in your lines that prevent the Tetris from forming.
And maybe like you see like little flickers, almost like lightning, little lines being completed in his face.
I'm kind of picturing he goes around the kingdoms, he tries to convince them. It doesn't work at first, it seems, but you know, in the final moments, the kingdoms do come together, and he is the child of prophecy, or whatever you want to call it. If that works.
I think that if these kingdoms have different personalities, I think like some of them, like maybe one kingdom's like, sure, I'll help you, but not if those people are going. Or there's some like, oh, we couldn't possibly spare anything. Like they all have their own personality. Or another one is like, maybe the first one is like, well, sure, I'll help. You know, we've always respected the Tea Kingdom, like, but that's the first one. That's the easy one.
We've always understood that entropy would return, and the signs are there.
But I do kind of like maybe the idea of like the last one is that there's one and the line piece is the holdout, and the line piece shows up at the
last
end.
second,
like as they always do.
In a Lord of the Rings-esque, like, look over there.
And the line piece like stabs entropy and it just just kind of dissolves entropy like that. Maybe each kingdom has their own theme, and it's each one of these Tetris songs. You know, you have, that
is good.
Maybe the Tea Kingdom is the classic Tetris song everyone knows. That's their anthem.
And of course, these will be fun remixes that are like using traditional instruments. So
right.
You might not notice at first, but like the keen-eared viewers, like, oh, hey, that's.
Oh, it's like these leitmotifs of all of each kingdom has their own leitmotif, and it's based on one of the Tetris songs.
Exactly.
That's cool. Maybe it was like 7. Like it was a kingdom and there was like 7 heirs to the throne, and they each divided and took their they couldn't get along, and they each took their tetromino and founded their own kingdom. Yeah, that's kind of fun. That's kind of fable-y, and so now, thousands of years, let's say, or at least hundreds of years later.
Yeah, like many generations
have passed.
Long enough that this is now like a fable that they tell.
Yeah, now, and people maybe don't even believe it anymore.
Exactly.
And now entropy.
Some kingdoms don't even tell the fable.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Our kid happens to come from one where like the fable is still told.
The Tea Kingdom that Alexei is from.
The ones that like consider themselves to be vigilant against this thing. Like, at no point did it become fantasy for them. It's always been a cautionary tale.
That makes sense with the T. The T block's pretty versatile. It's not the best at anything, but it's
very versatile.
It's versatile. So I think that makes sense.
It can form most shapes.
It's the Mario of Tetris pieces.
Yes.
So then there's a vision or something. Entropy comes back. The personified force of entropy comes back.
Yeah.
And Alexei has to go on this journey to unite the kingdoms. He's like inherited maybe he's the offspring of maybe the wisest of like the original 7, the one who didn't want the split to happen, the one who inherited the original throne.
Yeah,
like maybe the T Kingdom was the first kingdom, and so Entropy comes back and it starts this. Like maybe like it starts growing. Entropy starts growing. It starts small and it starts like growing, and more pieces start forming out of it. It starts creating this like entanglement, maybe a big wall.
I mean, the T Kingdom could fall. Like maybe this is a personal journey for him.
Yeah. Maybe the T Kingdom is the first one, and he has to save the T Kingdom. Yeah. He has to ask for help, and before the kingdom falls, before it doesn't get destroyed, but gets blocked in by a huge wall.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It becomes inaccessible.
And he takes his T block and he sets off on a journey to ask the other kingdoms for help. And he's heard the story his whole life, and maybe the other ones aren't like they have other versions of it.
Yeah,
but
like
his story,
he's pretty confident going in. He's like, yeah, everyone's gonna help.
Yeah, right.
The story.
Yeah, that's the story. Everyone's gonna help. You know,
he gets to learn some harsh lessons about how humanity works.
Yeah, and so all the kingdoms he goes to. Maybe the J or the L block first. Maybe they're the most open to that. Maybe they're the most closest allies to the T Kingdom. And then you have they each have their own aesthetic. They each have their own layout of the city. They all have their own personalities, different cultures, different variations on maybe Russian cultures, maybe influences from other things. But it's all fantasy. It's not based in reality. And maybe he gets the Line Kingdom. Line Kingdom is the most affluent. But they're also the least likely to help because
they're most isolationist.
They don't need to help. They think
they're strong enough on their own.
Right. And maybe I don't know if it's like the royalty or the greatest warriors from each kingdom join Alexei on his quest. But he's maybe gathering different characters along the way.
We have a hero on a quest, and he's meeting his knights.
Yeah,
his Lancelots and his Percivals.
Yeah. This is like it's like a King Arthur.
Yeah, Arthurian, a Russian Arthurian nutcracker.
That's something like I feel like we could probably dip into some Russian literature and probably find something like an Arthurian kind of legend.
It's one of those universal stories.
So for the real movie, we can kind of look into that. That'd be kind of fun. The kingdoms kind of unite, except maybe the Lion Kingdom, and they're gathering together. They're using their pieces to open up ancient...
They're fighting the forces of entropy.
Yeah.
Entropy should have like some sort of...
I see this as sort of like in like Sleeping Beauty, how like the thorns appear.
Yeah.
These are lines of blocks, like the B version of Tetris, where it starts with like this craggly bits of block. Maybe that's spreading. It spreads to another kingdom. It's sort of like a call to action. Like, first it's my kingdom, but yours is next.
Yeah.
We need to work together and stop this before it gets worse. And then there's like the final fighting against entropy. Maybe they're like, I don't know if they're like pieces like emit like sort of like blasts of power, like finding like the pieces within entropy to knock the lines out of the way,
that's an interesting way to fight entropy. Yeah.
Like they're getting through like the thorn bushes to, in quotes, the thorn bushes with their pieces, and they're slowly making their way through that. And then, the final entropy fight, and then, who comes in at the end, but the line piece finally, like maybe they stab him, and complete, but it might be something sort of like an open end where it's like, we have to remain vigilant. We have to accept each other.
Yeah.
It's
a happy enough ending that the studio will let us get away with it, but it's clear that there's room.
But yeah, I think like a hopeful sort of, if we learn to trust each other, entropy won't take over. We all have our own place.
We all fit into a certain slot.
We all fit together. Okay, well, we sort of made a Tetris movie. Against all odds, we got something.
Yeah. And of course, I want to know, what do you have in mind for a Tetris movie? Like, do you like what we did, or do you want to see something completely different?
Yeah, I mean, like, man, there's so many ways you can go with this.
Yes.
So yeah, if you got a cool idea for Tetris, let us know. Or if you got an idea for another thing we should do.
Of course, we were looking for other fun things to adapt, so give us some ideas.
Yeah, pitch us something. We'll see if we can turn it into a whole thing. See you next time here on Screen to Screen.
Bye.
Bye.